They told everyone I gave up, said I quit something important to chase silly dreams. They stopped asking how I was doing. They started making up their own stories about me. But the truth doesn't need to be loud. It just waits for the right time to show itself. If you believe in working hard quietly, in dreams that grow slowly but change everything, subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the biggest wins are the ones nobody expects. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm 29 years old. I live in a small apartment in Portland. I make my own coffee, I pay my own bills, and my family still thinks I'm the one who messed up his life. I was supposed to be a lawyer, the smart son, the one who would make the family proud. At least until I wasn't. I quit law school in my last year. It wasn't because of bad grades or drugs or anything crazy. I just felt empty inside, like I was building someone else's life, not mine. The kind of emptiness that eats you up while you still smile. At family dinners. When I left school, my dad didn't talk to me for 6 months. My mum told her friends I was taking time to figure things out. My older sister Maya became the new golden child with her business degree and fancy office job, big office windows, expensive clothes, everything our parents wanted. And me? I started teaching kids in my neighborhood how to use computers. Just to pay for food and rent and to have something to do that didn't make me feel dead inside. At first, it felt like I was proving everyone right about being a failure. Then it started feeling like something real. What started as one-on-one lessons in my tiny apartment turned into weekend classes at the community center, then online classes, then something bigger. I called it Code Bridge. Simple idea. Help poor. Kids learn how to code without all the barriers that keep them out. We taught basic computer stuff, simple programming, how to solve problems, even how to spot fake job offers online. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't like those big tech companies, but it was working. Last week I had a video call with a kid named Devon. He's 13, lives with his grandma in public housing, and he's smart enough to fix computer problems that college kids can't figure out. It took us an hour to get his old laptop camera working. He kept saying sorry because his computer was junk, but when we finally got it working and he showed me the simple game he built, a little maze game with his own drawings, his whole face lit up. "Mr. Marcus," he said, smiling so big I thought his face might break, "I made something. I actually made something that really works." Moments like that don't get on the news, but they change lives. And that's what I built Code Bridge for. In 2 years, we had over 15,000 kids using our program. We worked with 4 school districts. Community groups were begging us to come to their neighborhoods. We were changing kids' futures, one lesson at a time. But to my family, I was just doing some computer teaching thing. They never asked how it was going. They never said they were proud. In their eyes, I had given up on success and was just playing around with computers. It didn't matter that I built something from nothing and was helping kids who everyone else had given up on. Last month at Sunday breakfast, my mum made eggs and casually told Maya's boyfriend, "Maya's always been our focused one. Marcus, well, he's more of a dreamer." I smiled, ate my food, didn't say anything, because that's what disappointments do. We stay quiet, we stay polite, we stay invisible while building something too big to ignore. But something was about to change. And it would start with a name I hadn't heard in months, spoken by someone who had no idea they were about to turn my world upside down. The funny thing was always this. I could build a program that made thousands of kids feel smart and capable, but I couldn't get my own family to ask me one real question about my work. At CodeBridge, we were working on our phone app, making it easy for kids who only had phones to learn coding. I just finished testing it with an 11-year-old girl who built her first website on a cracked phone screen. She kept saying she wanted to make a page for her mum's small business. "Nobody thinks kids like me can do real stuff," she told me. "But I'm going to prove them wrong." That conversation gave me more energy than any business meeting ever could. But when I shared it at a family dinner that weekend, my dad just shrugged. Teaching kids to play on computers. I guess someone has to do it. Maya laughed quietly. I let it go. They didn't know that playing on computers had become a real education program with smart teaching methods designed to work with different types of kids and different levels of technology at home. They didn't know our monthly email reached 50,000 parents and teachers, that schools in 3 states were using our programs, that my little project was creating more opportunities in a month than most big company training programs did in a year, because I never told them. Because when someone calls you a failure, you either waste all your energy fighting them, or you quietly build something too big for them to ignore. 3 weeks before Maya's big promotion dinner, I got an email. Subject: CodeBridge Success Story. Kyle Martinez. Kyle, that was Maya's boyfriend. I clicked on it. It was a video, 2 minutes long, sent through our program where students or families could share their stories. In it, Kyle sat in what looked like a nice office, smiling at the camera. This might sound random, he started, but I wanted to share something amazing. My company helps sponsor a local boys and girls club, and we heard about this program called CodeBridge that was working with the kids there. We thought it was just another feel-good tech thing that wouldn't last. But man, we were so wrong. I leaned closer to my screen. These kids are building real apps, solving real problems in their neighborhoods. One 13-year-old made a website to help his mom's food truck business. Another girl built an app that helps old people in her building order groceries. This isn't just coding, it's giving kids power. The guy who started it, Marcus Chen, has created something special, something that really works. I couldn't move. Kyle didn't know who I was, didn't connect our last names. He just knew CodeBridge was changing lives in his company's community program. If you work with kids who don't have much, Kyle continued, looking right into the camera, you need to know about this program. Marcus Chen and his team are doing work that actually matters. That night, my mom called. Don't forget the celebration dinner is Saturday. Maya's so excited about her new job. I'm not sure I should come, I said. Why not? Her voice got sharp. Maya specifically wanted you there. Because I don't think I fit in. Long silence. Just try not to talk about your computer thing too much, okay? Kyle's work friends will be there. Very successful people. I almost laughed. Right, no computer talk. She completely missed the joke. I hung up and looked out my window at Portland's lights. My mother had no idea that her daughter's boyfriend had just publicly praised me for work she thought was just playing around, and I wasn't going to tell her. Not yet. Because sometimes it's better to let the truth show itself. The week of Maya's dinner, I avoided the family group chat where they were planning everything. I knew they expected me to show up, smile awkwardly, and fade into the background like always. I told myself I'd go for the kids Kyle had talked about. For the 13-year-old with the food truck website. Not for my family. At a cousin's party the week before, someone asked me, "Still doing that tutoring thing?" I nodded, smiled, and kept my mouth shut. My mum, standing right there, didn't correct them. Didn't mention that I had employees or partnerships or real impact. She just offered them more cake, and I stood there holding a paper plate, pretending I wasn't disappearing. Never again. At work, we were getting a big grant from the state education department. CodeBridge would expand into 12 rural areas, places, where kids had more trees than the internet. It was life-changing work. Meanwhile, at home, my mother was planning seating charts and texting me clothing suggestions with notes like, "Nothing too casual," and "Maybe something that shows you're serious about life." I stared at that text like it might bite me. My mother was an expert at control disguised as caring. Friday, the day before the dinner, I met our newest teacher at a downtown coffee shop. She was young, smart, and passionate about helping kids. While we talked about making learning fun, a woman at the next table interrupted us. "Excuse me," she said, leaning over with a big smile. "Are you Marcus Chen from CodeBridge?" I blinked. "Yes." "Oh my God," her face lit up. "My nephew's been using your program for months. He's building phone apps now, phone apps. The kid couldn't even turn on a computer last year." My coworker stared at me like I'd just revealed superpowers. "You didn't tell me people knew who you were." "They usually don't," I said. But the truth was, it was happening more. Speaking requests, news interviews, quiet momentum building outside. My family's narrow view. I wasn't invisible. I was rising. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Kyle's video, the real respect in his voice. He didn't know me personally, but he'd seen something I'd built from failure and doubt and hard work. And that recognition. It was earned, real, undeniable. unlike the approval I kept trying to get from people who refused to see me. At 2 a.m., I got up and picked out clothes for dinner. Not too casual, not trying too hard. A dark blazer over a simple black shirt. Professional but totally me. I saved Kyle's video to my phone, not to show it, just to carry it. A quiet reminder that sometimes the waves we make reach farther than we think, touching people we've never met and coming back to those who thought we'd disappeared. The restaurant was all brick walls and fancy light bulbs, the kind of place where drinks had weird names and appetizers cost more than my weekly groceries. I arrived right on time. I always do. My mother looked really surprised when she saw me. "Oh, you came. You invited me," I said simply. "Well, I'm glad." But her eyes said something else. I could see her looking at my outfit, my presence, figuring out how much attention I might take away from her perfect evening. I sat at the far end of the table, comfortably out of the spotlight. Just how we all liked it. Maya and Kyle arrived 20 minutes later, both glowing with success and expensive pre-dinner drinks. Kyle hugged everyone warmly, including me, though we'd barely talked at previous family events. The evening went on, with speeches and champagne toasts. Maya's boss said something about leadership. My father spoke about hard work and family pride. I nodded along, invisible again, until dessert. Until Kyle, a little buzzed and feeling talkative, leaned across the table with curious eyes. "Marcus, I keep meaning to ask, what exactly do you do for work?" The conversations around us got quiet. My mother tensed beside me. I took a sip of water. "I run an education program. We teach coding basics to kids in poor communities." "Wait." Kyle's eyes got interested. "Like actual programming classes?" "More like complete curriculum development. We focus on making it accessible, mobile-friendly, and culturally relevant. Project-based learning with real-world applications." Kyle sat up straighter. "What's it called?" "Codebridge." He stared at me for a long moment, then his face completely changed. "Holy crap, you're Codebridge Marcus." The table didn't just go quiet, it held its breath. My mother's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. My father looked up from his dessert. "I sent in a testimonial about your program," Kyle continued, his voice getting excited. "My company sponsors a boys and girls club that uses your platform. Those kids are building incredible projects. You're changing lives, man." He turned to address the whole table. "I don't think you all understand. This guy built a national education program from nothing. He's been in magazines and tech blogs. He's changing how kids learn computer science." Aunt Linda gasped. Uncle Jim cleared his throat. My father stared into his wine. My mother opened her mouth, then closed it. Kyle kept going. "I can't believe I'm sitting across from you. Your work with that food truck app project, that kid's story is amazing. You're not just teaching coding, you're teaching kids they can build their own futures." He sat back, shaking his head. "Maya, your brother is kind of famous." Maya looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. I had no idea." "You never asked," I said quietly. Silence again. But this time it wasn't cold. It was everyone's brains updating in real time. The rest of the night passed in a strange new light. Conversations started including me without me having to fight for space. Toasts suddenly mentioned Marcus's impressive work. My mother sat stiff and quiet, like her whole story about me was changing in her head. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like the side note. I felt like the main story, not because I demanded attention, not because I interrupted anyone, but because truth had walked into the room wearing my face and refused to apologize for being there. The next morning I woke up feeling strangely peaceful. It wasn't a victory, it wasn't revenge, it was something deeper, like the sound of a door finally opening after years of being locked. My phone buzzed. A text from Maya. "I'm sorry I never asked about your work. Really sorry, simple, direct, no excuses." I stared at it for a while, then put the phone down. Later that day, my mum called 3 times. I didn't answer. Not because I was mad, I just wasn't ready to hear her rewrite history yet. Not when the truth was still settling in. That evening, I walked down to the river. The air was crisp with coming rain, and the world felt suspended between what was and what could be. I thought about Kyle's face when he realized who I was. Not just recognition, but respect. Not for potential, but for impact, for results that existed beyond my family's approval, and I thought about all the years I spent making myself small because I mistook their silence for truth. But now I understand better. 4 days later, an envelope came. Real paper, handwritten. From my mother. Dear Marcus, I watched the video Kyle sent me about your work. I cried not because I didn't know what you'd done, but because I realized I never bothered to look. I was so focused on the path you'd left that I couldn't see the one you were building. You did something no one in this family has ever done. You failed publicly and kept going privately. And in doing that, you taught other people how to believe in themselves again, including me. Love. Mom, I read it twice. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. Not framed, not displayed, just kept, because this time I didn't need proof on my wall. I was living it every day. That weekend, I spoke at a regional education conference. No cameras, no viral moments, just 200 teachers in a community college auditorium, most of them taking notes. I told them the truth. I was never supposed to be there. I was supposed to be someone else entirely. But life had different plans and I stopped fighting them. When the room stood to clap, I didn't cry. But I did smile. Not the polite kind. The kind that reaches your soul. The kind that says I made it. And I didn't need anyone's permission. 2 months later, Kyle asked me to coffee. Not as Maya's boyfriend, but as someone who wanted to discuss business. We met at a rooftop cafe, the city spread out below us in the afternoon sun. I've been thinking, he said, sliding a folder across the table. My company has money we want to invest in good causes. I showed them your platform. Inside, the folder, notes, budget plans, expansion ideas. If you're ready to go national, we'd like to help make that happen. I didn't hesitate. You don't owe me anything, he shook his head. This isn't about family stuff, it's about impact. You gave something to those kids that changed everything for them. I just want to see how far that change can spread. And for the first time in years, I let someone believe in my work without questioning why. That fall, CodeBridge launched our first nationwide program, Digital Equity Now. Partnerships with public libraries, training centers in community colleges, free. Programs for foster kids and rural students. We reached 100,000 active users. I got an email from a 16-year-old in Mississippi. Your platform helped me build an app that tracks food problems in my school district. The school board is actually using my data to plan meal programs. Thank you for showing me that code can change things. I sat with that message for a long time, not as validation but as confirmation. Every quiet effort adds up. At Maya's wedding 6 months later, I wore a navy suit that actually fit. No one commented on my clothes. My mother introduced me to her friends as my son Marcus. He runs a national education non-profit. The description wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Later, she found me by the dessert table, holding champagne and what looked like courage. You always did your own thing, she said. I used to think that meant you were lost. Now I see you were just ahead of the rest of us. We didn't hug, but we stood there together longer than we had in years, and that felt like enough. That night, watching people dance under string lights, Maya came up to me with her hands in her pockets, looking nervous. Kyle told me you've been invited to speak at Google's Education Summit. Is that true? Next month. Are you going to tell people I'm your sister? I laughed. Are you going to tell people I'm your brother? She grinned. Hell yes. And just like that, the past let go of the present. 2 weeks after the wedding, I sent Kyle and Maya a small package. Inside was a handwritten note and a custom USB drive with a special version of CodeBridge, designed just for the Boys and Girls Club Kyle's company sponsored. Lifetime access, no fees, dedicated support. I didn't announce it. No press release, no social media post, just a simple note. Some connections are bigger than misunderstanding. Thank you for helping me find my voice. Kyle called me the next morning. He was quiet for a long moment, then whispered, You didn't have to do this. I smiled. I know. That's exactly why I did. Back home, I printed out a quote and taped it above my desk. They'll call you a failure until the day they ask. For your secret, no bitterness, no anger, just the truth. And beside it, my reflection on the computer screen. Smiling, solid, sure. because this time the light wasn't borrowed from anyone else's approval. It had always been mine. Where are you watching from today? I'd love to know what part of the world you're in and whether this story touched something in your own journey. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. You never know who might need to read your words. If this story spoke to you and you believe in quiet victories, personal growth, and dreams that refuse to stay small, make sure to subscribe to the channel. There's so much more ahead, and I'd be honored to share it with you. Thank you truly for being here. Until next time, stay persistent, stay real, and remember, your story is still being written,